Yeah, this one honestly was a tough one. I think there's a triad of players that have quite a bit to prove, but I'll go with the I guess the oldest one out of the group, or at least the one that's been in the NFL the most, and that is linebacker Nakobe Dean from Georgia. And listen, he's got to prove he can stay on the field. He's got to prove that he can take this linebacker group over. I mean, let's be honest, outside of Devin White, there's not a lot of veteran play there, and anybody that I would trust to put me out if I was on fire. So and let's be honest, Devin White is certainly not coming off of his best year either. So honestly, if he can stay on the field, Nakobe Dean can prove to us why he was once considered a first round a linebacker. He has the world in front of him, and he could grab that linebacking core and make it his and run with it. If he doesn't, I don't believe he might be on the team after this year. I think this is his last shot. So too much to prove.
Right, Nakobe Dean going number 1. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, it's a great pick, and I think it's going to be a lot of guys who are young, but now they're veterans on this list today. And I'm going right to the middle of that line with Jordan Davis. This is it, man. Look, he's shown up and looks to be in a lot better shape than what we've seen him as. But now you got to go put it out on the field. People forget that for a portion last year, he was playing real well, and we joke about it, but it was like the last big play he made was when he ran Josh Allen down on the sideline and then laid there for like 20 seconds because he couldn't get up because he was too out. I mean, it was just, it looked sad. Like he could not pick himself up. If he's got to be in shape this year, and he's got to be able to stop the run, because for the Eagles to have a chance to let some of these younger defensive backs learn on the fly like they plan on doing, you've got to be able to make a team one-dimensional, and that starts with Jordan Davis on those running downs, clogging up that hole next to Jalen Carter, and really making an impact game in and game out. And it can't just be the first 6 weeks. It's got to be for 17 games. So that's what I'm looking for.
Man, back-to-back very strong picks. Well done, guys. I'm going to jump right in, and this could be debatable, but for me, I'm right there with you, Rob. It starts on the defensive line. I'm a traditionalist. I'm always going to go in the trenches, and for me, it's Josh Sweat. I need to see more from Josh Sweat. He played way more snaps in 2023 than he did in 2022, 56% to 71% in 2023, but the production just took a major dip. He had 5.5 sacks through 9 games last year. Didn't manage another until week 18. That included 19 quarterback hits through 10 games and just 4 in the last 7 games, man. So right there with you, Rob, man. If I expect some growing pains with the back 7 with our new look secondary. And if we want to put them in position to succeed, it starts up front. And that includes Josh Sweat being more productive in 2024.
Yeah, there it is. God.
I have 3 guys that I am circling, but you know me, Ryan. I always tend to think outside of the box.
Well, something.
Yeah.
The slaves there. God, yeah. I know exactly who you're taking.
I kind of think I do too.
Yeah, go ahead and just say it. We all know it. Yeah, there it is.
For me, it's Nick Sirianni. Just the way the Eagles crumbled last year, the way the offense looked incredibly predictable and stale, the way the coaching staff never adjusted, continued to have zero answers for the blitz, the way the Eagles just consistently abandoned the run, the way DeAndre Swift would have 2-3 touches in an entire half. I get that continuity is important, but if it was up to me, man, he would have been gone this offseason. Nick Sirianni, man, he has a lot to prove, in my opinion. What about you, Rob? Where are you going next?
You can go a lot of different areas here, but I'm going to go offensively, and I'm going to go Jalen Hurts. I mean, to me, is that who you were going, Rye? Is that where you're going?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
And here's why. It's not saying that, you know, he isn't good at playing the quarterback position, but where you were 2 years ago compared to where you were during the second half of last season, and your, for lack of a better word, fear of staying in the pocket, we got to make sure you're who we saw 2 years ago. And that's this year. You've got to prove it. You can't come back with another year like last year and think that this fan base and this city is just going to blindly trust you, because they're not. Like, hey, I love his demeanor in press conferences and I love, you know, the things he says, but none of that matters if you're not producing on the field. You know, you could say, you know, I got to pay the rent's due and all that shit. If you're not producing on the field, it's going to get old quick and people are going to start coming down on him. I love the kid. I do believe he's a good quarterback, and a very good quarterback at that. But you got to show me this year. This cannot be another one of these BS years where you're running out of the pocket before giving a play an opportunity to set itself up. So to me, I think Jalen Hurts, this is a big prove it year now. You got the money and you struggled. So show us that, you know, you're going to be able to do it even with the money in your pocket.
It's amazing how just 6 weeks can completely flip-flop an entire, you know, season. And, you know, week 11, this guy was the MVP in the NFL. And most people, I think, remember Jalen Hurts at the end of the season, not some of the highs he did have for the first 2/3 of the season. Ryan, who's your number two?
I'm gonna stay on the offensive side of the ball here, and I'm gonna go with Cam Jurgens.
Good pick.
Ooh, good pick.
He's got big shoes to fill. He's going back to his more natural position, and everybody just assumes, this will be seamless. Cam will just go right in. We'll figure out right guard. Well, listen, we hope that that's the case, because if he doesn't, then we have two holes that we got to figure out on the offensive line. So Cam needs to come in and prove, and again, he doesn't have to be Jason Kelce. That's not what we need. We just need you to be adequate. This line is already really good, loaded. Mailata, Lane Johnson on the bookends. You have Landon Dickerson right next to you. We need you to continue that, and we need to only worry about the one spot on the offensive line right now. So he's got to prove that he can be the man at the center.
That's a really good one. That was the guy I was debating between Nick Sirianni and Cam Jurgens. Yeah, struggled a little bit in pass protection. It's going to be really interesting. He also took Jason Kelce's locker this offseason as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if he can kind of fill those shoes. What about you? Oh, wait, no, you go back to back.
That's right. I'm gonna again stay on the offensive side of the ball.
Wow.
And I am actually going to say Dallas Goedert.
Mm-hmm. It's a great pick. It's a tremendous pick.
The man needs to stay healthy. He is an absolute weapon. He is an absolute beast. And how many times are we going, this is the year Dallas is going to get 1,000 and really put himself in there with the top of the tight ends in this league? Well, he never does, because he's usually hurt, and he usually has that game or two where he kind of disappears. He needs to prove that he's a top tight end, because talent-wise, ability-wise, he sure should be. So you need to stay healthy. And you need to stay involved in games. So I don't know what that means. I don't know whether that means, getting to him early. I don't know whether it means fighting later in games to get yourself a little bit more open. But you need to step up your game and prove why we drafted you as the heir apparent to Zach Ertz. Step up. Be a top tight end.
It also involves utilizing the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And the Eagles, we talked about that in previous shows, but the Eagles targeted the middle of the field 11% in 2023. That's down from 17% in 2022. So yeah, Goddard was on the field a lot when he was healthy, but they never threw his way ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Rob, you're up.
Look, I'm going back to the defensive side of the ball, but I'm going with the guy where it's not like they need to step up from last year. They just need to prove what we paid him for in this offseason. And that's Bryce Huff. All right, because you gave this guy, top of the line pass rusher money. And you said we're going to probably double your snaps from where you were last year. And you want to talk about something to prove. You need to prove that you can do this with more snaps and not get gassed out on the field and not get eaten up by offensive tackles. The fact of the matter is you were paid here and Hassan Reddick was shipped out. So that to me is even more. They got rid of Hassan Reddick. So guess what, Bryce Huff? I get it. It's year one, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't come out firing on all cylinders, people are going to be pissed about this contract, and it's going to be hard for anyone to get over.
More so, I'm also looking to see how he is against the run, because he's a very good pass rusher, but he's not good against the run.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at like some of the other guys on this defensive line, like Nolan Smith, things like that, like I'm definitely like more so worried about the run defense just falling off a cliff again. That second half of the season. That's something that's been on my mind. My number 3 pick, also going to go a little outside of the box. They signed him last summer after he was suspended for violating the NFL's gambling policy. Give me Isaiah Rodgers here for this one. He's kind of been the darling of OTAs the last week. He's been looking sharp as that first team corner while James Bradbury's away and will likely be cut. He had a pick on Jalen Hurts last week. And you look at kind of Maddox's injury history. You look at James Bradbury probably being cut. You look at Keely Ringo and Quinyon Mitchell likely being outside guys. Like, I think, Isaiah Rodgers is a really good fit for this defense. I think he fits well in Fangio's zone-heavy defense. And I like that he's going to give this secondary depth. He's going to give this secondary experience. You've got a lot of young corners on the roster. I think if you were to put a gun to my head and say, where is he going to be on this defense? Probably slot until Cooper DeJean takes snaps from him going forward. But give me Isaiah Rodgers. As this Eagles secondary was among the bottom of the NFL last year, I like the depth all of a sudden.